Good morning, Villa fans. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to another video. This time I wanted to talk about Jadon Sancho and Harvey Elliott, our sort of two biggest signings of the the window, really, you could say. And who's going to have the biggest impact? Who's going to come in? I wouldn't say who's going to do the better. It's not a battle between them two, but just having a sort of overview of the two players and who I believe is going to have the more impact. Both really good signings, in my opinion. Harvey Elliott, came out of the blue, really. Jadon Sancho was another one that we were kind of surprised about that we got him on deadline day. But they're both through the door. They're both absolutely needed in this team, considering what we've got and how we've been playing in the first three games. But first of all, just want to give a quick shout out to the international players. I mean, it's been a really good international break for Villa, hasn't it? So England, first of all, yesterday, 5-0 win against Serbia. Morgan Rogers with an assist. Ezri Konsa getting his first goal. Great assist by Morgan Rogers. A nice little flick around the corner. Ollie Watkins winning a penalty, scoring but offside, so obviously contributing in that side of things. Mateusz Kaszki for Poland, 2 goals in 2 games. Great goal against the Dutch. Another really good goal as well to follow that up. Yuri Tielemans banging a couple of goals for Belgium, being made captain there as well. John McGinn breaking the record as the most capped international player whilst playing for Aston Villa. I think it's 70 caps that he's got for Scotland since he's been at Villa. So I think he's just overtaken, was it Olaf Melberg? Might have been at 69. I think he might have been Olaf Melberg. So yeah, really good, in terms of international break for Villa and what we've kind of achieved there as well. And, finishing the game yesterday for England, seeing the likes of Morgan Rogers, playing 90 minutes. And then you've got Ezri Konsa playing 90 minutes. And you've got Ollie Watkins on the pitch as well. So 3 Villa players there as well. I think Emi Martinez has played a couple of games for Argentina and a couple of clean sheets as well. So again, well done to him. And hopefully he can be reintegrated to the team. And I'll come on to a match preview for the Everton game as well, sort of later on in this episode as well. So I'm not going to do a separate episode for that. I'll just jump on and sort of, do a little bit about them as well. But let's talk about these 2 players in your picture here. So Jadon Sancho, Harvey Elliott, who's going to have the biggest impact? I mean, if we look at the stats of Jadon Sancho, first of all, let's talk about him. So last season, obviously on loan at Chelsea, they took the decision not to make his move permanent as well, and paid a £5 million fee back to United to send him back. So, I mean, his stats aren't horrendous. I mean, 42 appearances last season in all competitions, 10 assists, 5 goals. Okay, on the goal side, a little bit, not maybe as you would expect, but yeah, 10 assists, double figures for assists, and obviously scored in the Conference League final. And he's done okay. The season before that, United was a bit, he obviously wasn't the best of times. He played 24 games for them, 3 assists and 3 goals. So again, not really notching up the figures that he was previously, at kind of Borussia Dortmund, really. So, yeah, I mean, his best season was probably looking at about sort of 5 years ago, sort of 2019, 2020, when he was at Dortmund. And in his best season, he had 32 appearances in the Bundesliga. This is only 17 goals in 32 and 17 assists. That's the levels that he can reach. He is only 25. He's not someone who's, the other end of sort of, 30 or things like that. He's still sort of got peak years, hopefully ahead of him, as long as he can get this right, the brain, the head, sort it out, get his attitude sorted out. Hopefully Emery will be speaking to him and motivating him, and I think he just needs the right environment, and hopefully Aston Villa is that environment to give him that kickstart. And as I said, it's a big, big season for him. Critical crossroads is what I've called it for Jadon Sancho. A year to go on his United contract. Doesn't look like they'll want to extend it unless they can make some money out of him. And then where does he go after that? If he flops here at Villa this season, you can pretty much say that his time in the Premier League probably and at the top level is probably done, and he'll probably end up going back to the Bundesliga, and maybe a Dortmund might come back in for him, perhaps, and that sort of level would be where he's at. But I'm confident that we're going to see a resurgent Jadon Sancho this season. I think he's going to come in with a bit between his teeth. He's got a point to prove to himself, to the fans, to everyone. England squad there as well for the World Cup. That seems like a million miles away at the moment, but a really strong season here, a really consistent season here, and the guy has ability. We've all watched the YouTube kind of reels of him at Dortmund and even last season at Chelsea, where he was doing some really good things. He's very confident on the ball, happy to sort of go past players. Doesn't have the electric pace, but he's got good acceleration. And what I like about him is that he's a winger who really plays with his head up. So he's very aware of where people are moving on the pitch. He's not just one of these wingers that gets the ball kind of head down and just trying to focus on beating a fullback. He's always sort of scanning the pitch, head up, looking at sort of runners that are coming in, up the pitch, linking up with the likes of like Cole Palmer and things like that. So that's something that I really like about him, is that he's got that ability to sort of head up, almost like a Jack Grealish kind of type player there. So Jadon Sancho, as long as we can get his mind right, get him happy, confident, I think we'll see a good Jadon Sancho this year. I think he needs to have one himself. So, yeah, for me, I think he's going to have a really good impact. I mean, Borussia Dortmund, as I said, like his best season was at 32 appearances, 17 goals, 17 assists. The season before that, 34 appearances, 12 goals and 18 assists. So he had 2 really strong seasons in a row at Borussia Dortmund. Can he hit those heights again? I know the Bundesliga is a different kind of level of football, maybe not as athletic, should we say, and you're playing against athletes week in, week out in the Premier League. But he did well at Chelsea last year. I don't think he was a massive flop. I mean, I know they sent him back, but I think that's probably because they had eyes on people like Baena. They obviously had Pedro Neto in there. They've got other players as well that they had. So they were, maybe looking at other options in the market as well for themselves. So, yeah, I just think he's good. He's going to play in that sort of left-hand side position, I believe. He can play sort of across the front, but predominantly it's been the left wing. He's had 175 appearances in his career from the left wing, which is the most. And from that, he's got 54 goals from the left wing and 45 assists playing as a left winger. So that tells me that he's going to play in that Jacob Ramsey kind of position. So whether he's the one who's going to offer the width, sort of like a Leon Bailey did from the right-hand side, and we change up the focus of our attack and move it to the left, perhaps, or does Unai Emery still want him to play that sort of tucked-in role and maybe have a Maatsen overlapping, or maybe a Digne holding back a little bit? It'll be interesting to see how the link-up is, but I predominantly see Jadon Sancho playing from the left, and I'm predicting a big season for him. I'm going to say I don't think he'll get double digits in terms of goals, but I think he might get double digits in terms of assists this season. And if his goal contributions this season can be, 15, 16, 17, that probably would represent a good season for him. And from what I've heard about him, I think he's got the right people around him. I think Morgan Rogers being there, Harvey Elliott being there, Ollie Watkins, that English core, Ezri Konsa, I think he mentioned that he knew, Tyrone Mings that he knows as well from the England squads. So I think having those people around him is really going to help him settle in. And hopefully, he's someone that can hit the ground running. And what I also like about this, and what we've seen as well, that he knows the Premier League. He's played in England for a few years now. He played in, obviously, Germany as well before that. What we've seen with Evan Gassan, for example, against Crystal Palace, playing on the left-hand side, is that, it takes a while to get used to the league. Gassan probably isn't used to sort of tracking back like he did for Nice in Liga, and sort of picking up the right back and Munoz and people like that. And, it's evident that's not his kind of game. But I think with Sancho, I think he'll understand that, if he plays that left wing, he needs to be tracking the right back, whoever that's going to be as well. So he'll understand the game in the Premier League a little bit better than someone like Evan Gasson. And Gasson will come on, but I do see Gasson being the rotation backup option as the striker more than playing from the left-hand side of a midfield. I think bringing in Sancho on that big wage, apparently 200 grand a week, I think Sancho is going to be that player for us that plays from the left. So that's what I think as well. So all in all for Dortmund, his stats are 158 games, 53 goals, and 67 assists. I think that's right. So, yeah, his Dortmund stats are good. Dortmund was quite a few years ago now, But that's the kind of Jadon Sancho that we need to reinfigure. And I think he's going to be a good signing for Villa. I think he's going to have a big impact on this team. I think he'll play regularly as well. He's 25 years of age. He needs to play regularly. I think bringing him on that high wage as well will also, allow him to sort of play as well. But it'll be interesting to see how he line up against Everton, and I'll come on to that. And does he get thrown straight in, or is it sort of bedding him in sort of quietly and gently and stuff like that? So moving on to Harvey Elliott. Again, I've just watched a podcast this morning from the Claret and Blue. Rollo was speaking to, I think like a Liverpool fan or a Data fan about Harvey Elliott, and it's just very interesting to hear not just about the player, but about the person behind it as well, what kind of personality that we're getting as well. And Harvey Elliott is 22 years of age. He's just come back off the under-21s tournament, winning it with England. Not just that, but he was also player of the tournament in that as well. So, he's a footballer now who is ready and primed to play regularly. Obviously, at Liverpool, that big stumbling block in front of him is Mo Salah, or arguably probably one of the best players the Premier League has ever seen. And, you're not going to get in front of Mo Salah. So Harvey Elliott, he was really fancied by Jurgen Klopp. When Klopp was there, he played a lot of football. But when Arne Slot's come in last season, not so much. But, he now has to kick on his own career, 22 years of age. And there was a really good podcast as well that I watched the other day, Michael Owen speaking to Rio Ferdinand. And there was a really good point that Michael Owen made, probably the first that he's ever made, is that he talked about how the England youth teams win these competitions. So under 17s, 18s, 19s, 20, 21s, England do win youth tournaments, and they beat the likes of Portugal and Spain and Germany and those sorts of big sort of teams in those kind of finals as well. But then what you see is that once the players go back to their clubs, the players that are playing for Germany, for example, or Portugal, they'll go and get game time at the likes of Lisbon or Boa Vista or Leverkusen or whoever it might be. And all of a sudden they get an exposure to the first team on a regular basis. But then you have like Harvey Elliott, who goes back to Liverpool, and he's got Mo Salah in front of him, and he's not getting that development. But then we end up bringing those sorts of players into the Premier League, like from Germany, from Portugal, and end up spending a fortune. I mean, Florian Wirtz is the same age as Harvey Elliott, but Florian Wirtz has been exposed to first team football, a lot more than Harvey Elliott, and he's already on 33 caps for Germany, whereas Harvey Elliott is yet to break into that, but has really sort of peaked at the under 21 level. When England won the I think it was a U20 Cup back in 2023 as well, when they beat Spain in the final, Harvey Elliott played in that game as well. Spain had the likes of Alex Baena in their lineup that game in the final, and Baena has just gone on to join Atletico Madrid for almost 50 million. Xavi Simons is also another player, 22-year-old, who's just signed for Tottenham at 70 million. So the players of similar age are getting chances to play in first teams of European sides, but the England players, they have like a blockage there in terms of getting appearances and trying to get into the first teams where after they've won these U21 tournaments. So England players were better than these sorts of players, but not getting the opportunity to kind of kick on and play regularly and get up to 50, 100 appearances by the time they're sort of like 22. And by the time that Liverpool are bringing in Wirtz for 100 wherever it was, 110 million, wherever it was. So yeah, I mean, that was a point that sort of Owen made, which was good. But looking at Harvey Elliott and the stats behind it. So last season under Liverpool, 28 appearances, 5 goals, 3 assists. Now, that doesn't scream to me like, a very great season. But, a lot of those 28 appearances would have been from the bench as well. So, you've got to take each of these sort of stats with a pinch of salt, really. The season before that, when Klopp was in charge, so 23-24 season, 53 appearances. So almost double the amount of appearances, 4 goals and 14 assists. So, that's good going. 14 assists in 53 games. He's a sort of player that can thread the eye of the needle. He's not the biggest player. He is like 5'7" or around that sort of height, similar to Emi Buendia. But he has this ability to unlock defenses. He's not the quickest player, so he's not going to beat a player with pace on the flank, but he's good at sort of cutting in and spotting opportunities. And I think with Sancho and Elliott, they're good at sort of scanning the pitch, playing with their heads up, and being able to slot balls into players, either behind the defence or into teammates that are sort of moving into suitable positions. So Harvey Elliott looks like he's going to be playing from the sort of the right wing, but I don't expect him to be someone that's going to be hugging that touchline. I think he's going to be sort of the inverted one. With him as well, I think he performs best when he's got like an overlapping fullback. So again, does Matty Cash's role in the team need to kind of change a little bit to get the best out of Harvey Elliott? Does Cash need to provide those overlapping runs? Well, we've all been critical, and I've been critical of Matty Cash and his ability in the final third. But if he can do what he does for Poland, for Aston Villa, then we're all for that. And even if these are what we call decoy runs, and they're just taking away defenders and creating spaces for Harvey Elliott, then maybe Matty Cash needs to offer that kind of overlap on that right-hand side, because Harvey Elliott, he's not going to go past players with speed. He's more that cutting inside and looking for an incisive pass, but he needs someone to overlap, to take the defenders away, to create space and opportunity for him. So Matty Cash, you might need to be doing a lot more forward runs and overlapping runs than we've been seeing, because rather than sort of checking back and playing it back to Konsa and Mings and whoever, we need to see a more positive, dynamic fullback playing behind him. So yeah, Harvey Elliott plays most of his career from the right wing. 104 appearances, 18 goals, and 22 assists from the right wing. So that's not too bad going. I mean, career-wise, he's got 241 appearances in his whole kind of career. And obviously, he spent a season out on Blackburn as well in the Championship when he was just 17. Did really well there a couple of years ago. So 241 appearances in his career, 31 goals to his name, and 47 assists in that space as well. And then, as I said, for the England under-21s, he's got 28 caps for them and 14 goals for the under-21s for England. So that's good going. 14 appearances in the Champions League and 5 goals. Most memorably, the one against PSG last season. So, he's got ability. He's got, I think he could be a player that maybe we don't see straight away. I think maybe Unai might stick with sort of John McGinn, because McGinn probably needs to be fitted into the team somewhere. And maybe we don't unleash both of these at the same time, although I would prefer to see it. Harvey Elliott is coming on a quite a low salary. I think it's only on like 40 grand a week, which is obviously a lot to me and you, but in football terms, not a great deal. So I'm not sure he will be that player that's chucked in from the start. He might be a game changer for us later on, sort of in matches and starting games, building up to starting games, basically. I think Sancho might be the one who's thrown in against Everton, and Harvey Elliott is the one that's maybe from the bench initially. But that could change depending on form, performances, and sort of output, I suppose. But yeah, so Harvey Elliott is an interesting signing. He is someone who is creative. He is someone that plays with his head up. He is someone who likes to shoot from distance, likes to play the ball in between the lines. I can see him linking up well with Morgan Rogers. They seem to have a bromance kind of going on at the moment. I see him linking well with Ollie Watkins, and Ollie Watkins thriving off his through balls, in between defenders. So I think he'll be a really good player. And I do think that these two will be starting together, maybe not initially, but, by sort of 10 games into the season, I think these two will be our starting left and right, attacking midfield players. And where that leaves John McGinn, I'm not sure. Maybe going back to CDM, but then, Kamara, Tielemans, Onana's there as well. So it'll be interesting to see. But there will be rotation. We've got this game against Everton coming up on Saturday, and then we've quickly got a game on Tuesday against Brentford in the Cup. So I fully expect, big changes and quite a few changes in the lineups for both games there. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. And going back to the England sort of, situation with Harvey Elliott. So, he is, he's won the under-21s with England just recently, player of the tournament, as I mentioned. He won it in 2023 as well when we beat Spain in the final as well. He's won the under 17 cup as well for England quite a few years ago now, and some interesting players came out of that team that Harvey Elliott was part of, and they include the likes of Levi Colwell, Jude Bellingham, Louis Barry played in that final as well. Samuel Illing Jr. played in that final. Lewis Dobbin played in that final. I think he scored the winning penalty. Well, was it a penalty for the U17s back in there? I think it might have been. So I think Lewis Dobbin played and scored in there as well. And yeah, Harvey Elliott getting player of the tournament just now is a really, really, good level and a good indicator of what potential this player has. I mean, the 2023 tournament, which England won, the player of the tournament then was Anthony Gordon. So Harvey Elliott can go on and maybe sort of be at the same level as a Harvey Elliott. That would be interesting to see. But yeah, I just think he's going to be a good addition to the team. As I said, I don't think he will start from the beginning against Everton, for example, but I think he'll slowly become an integral member of the team and will be starting games more often. So that's my sort of impact, what I believe the impact's going to be for both of these. I think Sancho will be the one who gets more goals for us. I don't know why. I think he will score the more goals, and Harvey Elliott will get the more assists for us. I think that. So that's what I'm going to go with. Sancho for the goals. Not quite double figures, I don't think. Maybe sort of 8, 9, and then Harvey Elliott to get double figure assists for the season as well. So that's my sort of thoughts on what kind of impact these guys are going to make. And then looking ahead to Everton just quickly. Game on Saturday, obviously, we're up against Jack Grealish. We're up against Ghana Gay, ex-Villa players there as well. So it will be interesting to see. Obviously, Grealish has started the season really well with Everton, as I thought he would. Been allowed that freedom at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, I think it's called, and just playing from the left, but with that roaming opportunity. And he's got 4 assists in 2 games, and he just looks like a totally different player. He looks like the Villa Jack Grealish. So we need to be marking him. I think obviously he plays from the left, and Matty Cash is going to be the one. It'd be nice to see Harvey Elliott start. Obviously, being a Liverpool fan, I'm sure that he'd be wanting to play against Everton and putting his all in. And he'll be up against kind of Jack Grealish on that kind of right-hand side for us. So it'd be interesting to see if he does get a start. But Everton come into the game off the back of 3 wins. So beating Wolves just recently 3-2. And then they beat Mansfield in the EFL Cup 2-0. And then they also beat Brighton 2-0 as well. I think that was in the opening game of the season. So it's going to be a tough game. Everton are a different team now. They're not that walkover team. David Moyes has done some really smart business with obviously Grealish coming in, Dewsbury Hall coming in. They've also got Tyler Dibbling as well. So that front 3 now with Iliman Ndiaye as well, if you add him to that attacking threat, is dangerous. And up front, Beto, he's got 2 goals to his name this season. Tieno Barry has been sort of slowly worked into the team as well. He looks like a threat. Ghana, he's playing some really good football at the moment, apparently. I think he's one of their best players this season in terms of forward passes. So they're going to be a threat. They're going to be a different Everton. They've still got the same sort of back line. So I think Michael Keane and Tarkowski as centre-backs, which doesn't fill me full of confidence, especially when we're playing balls in behind. And that's where maybe Harvey Elliott could be key in this game. But yeah, anything up in the air, they obviously gobble up and win quite comfortably. The fullbacks for them, Mikalenko, I don't really rate. I think Irabunum started at right back, but he's kind of been ousted out of the team recently. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of lineup that they go with. And then the big team news for Aston Villa is that do we throw in Emi Martinez straight away? He's obviously coming back from Argentina duty. I think it's today or tomorrow. He needs to have those clear the air talks with Emery. He needs to hug it out with everyone. And let's see what kind of response we get. My feeling is that he'll probably go with Marco Bizzo for this one. I just feel as though Emery was really, really royally pissed off with Emi Martinez for not, making himself available for the Palace game. And I think he'll kind of, it might be a slow integration back into the team for Emi Martinez. Maybe we'll see Emi against Brentford in the Cup, perhaps. But, let's see. I mean, I want it to all work out well. I want our best players on the pitch. I want Aston Villa to win. And the best chance we've got of winning games is having our best players. And Emi Martinez is our best goalkeeper. So, if he does get thrown back into the team straight away, I'll be happy with that. So, Matty Cash apparently has picked up a knock, came off at half-time for Poland after scoring in the first half. So not sure on the extent of that. We'll find out from Unai Emery's press conference on Friday. Hopefully he's okay and it's just precautionary. If not, then right back, obviously Andres Garcia is out at the moment as well, looks like. So it might be a case of Ezri Konsa going to right back and then looking at like Victor Lindelof or Pau Torres and Ming's partnership as centre-back again, which I don't really want to see. So I'm hoping Matty Cash is okay for the game. Left back, Lucadinho against his former team. Ian Martson maybe as an option from the bench. I think we'll probably go steady and we'll probably go with Lucadinho as that defender. And I think Iliman Ndiaye is quite a dangerous player that plays from the wing. So I think maybe Dino might be better suited to play this game and start this game rather than Martson. And then the CDM, Kamara is back in training. Hopefully he's okay. They said 2 to 3 weeks injury. He might be back, a bit sooner than that. But do we throw him straight in? Obviously, Onana was injured and withdrawn from the Belgian team, so he's probably out. Tielemans is fit, hopefully, from his Belgium international duty. So Tielemans will definitely play. And then it's either if Kamara's fit or McGinn perhaps can play in there as well. So it depends on who passes the late sort of fitness test there. Obviously, Kamara would be the first choice. But I'll be happy with John McGinn sort of ratting around in there as well. You need someone who's going to be, energy and legs and things like that. And if that happens and John McGinn plays there, then that opens up that spot on the right-hand side of the midfield attacking. And Morgan Rogers, obviously just coming back off a really good performance for England, good assists, great runs. It was like watching the Morgan Rogers of last season, where he was like powering past players, picking up the ball. So that was really good to see. So Morgan Rogers has to play in the 10. I'm going to go Jadon Sancho from the left. I think Evan Gassan still needs to settle into Premiership life, and I think he'll get opportunities from the bench and maybe opportunities in the cup. But for me, Jadon Sancho from the left. And then if John McGinn is playing as that CDM option, then what other option do we have? I don't think Buendia plays on the right. I think Harvey Elliott could come straight in. And hopefully he's had a bit of training now and getting some instructions from Unai about how to play that position and what he wants to see from that position. And then Ollie Watkins picks himself up front. We don't have any other kind of options. Daniel Marlon, apparently he had a poor game for Holland when he started as well. In there, I think their victory, there was some Dutch media sort of saying that he didn't really offer too much. For me, Daniel Marlon is not a starter. He's someone that's come off the bench last 15, 20 minutes of a game when the defence is tiring to use his pace in behind. His first touch is not brilliant. His ability on the ball to go past players is purely reliant on pace. There's no kind of skill involved. It's just pure like knock it and run. So for me, Daniel Marlon on the bench, Gasson on the bench, good options though. Buendia off the bench as well. I'm sure I'm forgetting someone now as well. I think Barkley's still injured. Onana could be missing for this game. So we might see a few little academy sort of players again on the bench. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the game. And, Jack Grealish is the key for them. We need to watch him carefully, stop the ball going into him, so cut it out at source. I think John McGinn maybe playing in that CDM position might be good for that as well in terms of pressing. So, and then my score prediction for the game, it's going to be tight. And I do want us to pick up something. I'm going to go with a draw. I'm going to go for us to score our first goal of the season, but I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. Ollie Watkins to score and open his account for the season. And then I'm going to go for a debut goal for Jadon Sancho. Don't know, something tells me that there's going to be a chance for Sancho in the game and he'll take it. So yeah, Ollie Watkins, Jadon Sancho, 2-2 for me. And you know what? I'll take that at the Hill Dickinson because they're a team on good form. Get a point on the board. And then I think it's Sunderland away after that. And maybe we can look to go to the Stadium of Light and win that game, even though they're quite strong at home themselves. But, I think it's going to be a tough game. It will be tight. There will be opportunities because you've got really good flair players on the pitch and creative players on the pitch. So it's just who can take their chances on the day. So I'm going 2-2. Let me know your thoughts as well, guys, in the comments. Do like and subscribe as well if you haven't already. We are looking to drive the channel up. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on Harvey Elliott, Jadon Sancho. Who do you think is going to have the biggest impact this season? Who do you think out of these two is going to have more? I'm just going in favour of Jadon Sancho because I just think he's going to be starting more games for us. And I think he'll contribute goals and assists. And as I said, if you can get goal contributions in sort of the 15, 16, 17, 18 sort of mark, then that would be a really, really good season. Harvey Elliott, I see him being a creator rather than a goal scorer. And I see him sort of maybe out assisting Jadon Sancho, but maybe not outscoring him. And I think he'll be someone who's integrated maybe slowly into the first 11. But yeah, guys, I'll leave it there. Let me know your thoughts. Comment below with your match score predictions as well, and your thoughts on Jadon Sancho, Harvey Elliott, who's going to make the bigger impact. Till the next video, guys, have a good week. Bye-bye.